What's up, basketball fans? Welcome into NBA Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Jimmy Crowther, breaking down all the latest NBA news and rumors. Starting off with the most obvious one of the day, the one we're going to talk about until he gets moved, and then a little bit after he gets moved as well. James Harden of the Houston Rockets. The talks are heating up, and it looks like Philadelphia is becoming more and more realistic of a destination for him to end up on. Now, the Rockets are still pretty reluctant to trade him. They don't want to move him. And if he's going to go to Philly, that deal is not going to get done without Ben Simmons. But I'm going to tell you why that might be more of a problem here in just a second. But before I do, I want to know where you guys think he ends up. If you're watching live with us right now, type it down in the live chat. If you're watching at a later date, go ahead and go down to the comment section. Let me know, will James Harden end up playing for the Brooklyn Nets, the Philadelphia 76ers, or will there be a surprise team that sneaks in and trades for the former MVP? Now, I mentioned a Philly trade might get a little tough because Philadelphia doesn't want to trade Ben Simmons. Now, Adrian Wojnarowski came out yesterday, and he said Philly has been more ready to include Simmons in trade talks. And then Daryl Morey turned around and responded and said, he is an important part of this franchise. We are not looking to move Ben Simmons. So no trade conversations at this point are currently fluid. It doesn't look like anything between Philly and Houston is going to happen anytime soon. But the two things we know are that, number one, the most realistic destination at this point is Philadelphia. And number two, the guy that is actually being included in trade talks at this point is Ben Simmons. So let's say they pull off a trade. Let's say they make it happen. What does Houston look like now? Well, I think you got to roll with Eric Gordon and John Wall in the backcourt and make Ben Simmons more of a three that can handle the ball on the wings. I don't love this lineup. I mean, the floor spacing on this is atrocious. Christian Wood's not a three-point shooter, although he's okay. DeMarcus Cousins used to be, not anymore. Ben Simmons definitely isn't. Eric Gordon is a great three-point shooter, but he can't shoot for everybody on that team. So if Houston's going to do this, I think they need Ben Simmons and some floor spacers or some picks or something alongside that, because it's just not going to happen. But I don't think Philly's going to do it. However, if they did, I mean, talk about floor spacing. This is the ultimate floor spacing lineup in Philadelphia. You got basically four guys that are just going to hang around the three-point arc, and then Ben Simmons, who would dominate down low. Now, defensively, or Embiid, that would dominate down low. And look, defensively, there's some issues on this team. Harden doesn't play great defense. Seth Curry definitely can't play great defense. Tobias Harris doesn't play great defense. And Danny Green is an overrated defender at this point. Embiid, obviously elite defensively, but that's just him. Look, I get it from both sides, not wanting to trade your players. But if I'm Philadelphia, I think I'd be more ready to move on from Ben Simmons. The only reason that I would say don't do it is because, in all honesty, James Harden seems like he knows how to disrupt chemistry. And there's a lot of chemistry on this Philly team that might get ruined if James Harden sneaks in. So let's say they pull it off. Let's say Simmons goes to the Rockets and Harden goes to Philly. Who is the better team? Type 7, for the Philadelphia 76ers. Type R for the Houston Rockets. I think this answer is pretty obvious. I'd be typing my 7 for the Philadelphia 76ers. But if you're watching this video a little bit later, you might get hit with a YouTube ad break. So scroll on down and respond to the pinned comment. Let me know which team would be better. Let's get into some free agency news. Yes, even though we're in the preseason, there is free agency news to be had. And Yogi Ferrell is back in the NBA. It didn't look like he was going to get a contract for a little while, but it turns out he is signing with the Utah Jazz. Now, Yogi's been a little up and down since he left Dallas. He left there thinking he'd get a better chance in Sacramento, and then Sacramento didn't play him enough. Frank Mason even played above him at one point. And so I think a change of scenery is exactly what he needed. Utah went out and they used Emmanuel Mudiay last year, and now they get a chance to use Yogi Ferrell as their primary backup. And if you want more NBA news just like that, or NBA trade rumors, or NBA mailbags, or NBA or NFL, anything and everything, we're going to have it for you here at Chat Sports, youtube.com/ChatSportsTV. So please make sure you subscribe. We're growing like crazy, and we want you to be a part of it. Now, I said Yogi Ferrell wasn't the same since leaving Dallas, and you can see that's pretty much the case. Now, in his rookie year, when he split time with Brooklyn and Dallas, that's when Yogi Mania was a thing, and that's when it was a lot of fun to watch him. The next year, he played 82 games for Dallas, played 28 minutes a night, and puts up 10 points and 3 assists per game. But then he goes to Sacramento, where all good things die, and he averaged 5 points per game and 4 points per game. And you know what? I think that's more to say about Sacramento than it is to say about Yogi Ferrell. So I think Utah is going to be a perfect chance for him to get a second shot, or really a third shot in the NBA, where he's going to be their primary backup to Mike Conley and even Donovan Mitchell at certain times. Because Look, Yogi can play on or off the ball, and I think with Jordan Clarkson in that backup rotation, that's going to be a pretty solid team off the bench with Derek Favors, Royce O'Neal, Jordan Clarkson, Yogi Ferrell. I like what they've done to rebolster their bench. I think this is a good move for both Yogi and for Utah. I just hope that he actually gets a chance. If he has a chance to shine, and if Quinn Snyder uses him correctly, I think he's going to be a solid kind of 6th or 7th man off that bench in the right situations. Now, Christmas time is almost here. You might be behind on your Christmas shopping. That's okay. I got you covered. Chatsports.com/NBA jerseys. If you order today, these jerseys will get to you before Christmas, and that's when it really matters. So go to that link, chatsports.com/NBA jerseys, and get any player, any team that you want. And let's say you went out and you buy a Houston Rockets James Harden jersey. First of all, bad investment. Second of all, if he does get traded, they'll do a little thing called jersey insurance where they'll replace that jersey for free. So go to chatsports.com/NBA jerseys where you can get all your jerseys by Christmas if you order today. Now let's move on to Kawhi Leonard. Is he going to stay put in Los Angeles? Well, according to multiple reports on social media, it looks that way, as it looks like he's leaning towards signing a long-term deal with the Los Angeles Clippers. Now remember, it wasn't until they went out and got Paul George that Kawhi committed to signing with Los Angeles from Toronto. And he does have that player option in 2021 that would make him a free agent for that offseason. But if he turns it down, look, he's going to get the max from somebody. But maybe it just ends up being the Los Angeles Clippers and he stays put, where he put up with a really great 27 points per game and 7 rebounds his first year with the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, personally, I think a lot of his decision is going to lean heavily on how well they do in the playoffs. If they end up losing before the conference finals again, I don't think Kawhi is going to come back. I think he waits to sign a long-term deal until after the season, and if the Clippers are in the conference finals or even maybe the NBA finals, then he'll stay. If not, I'm not so sure. What do you guys think? Will Kawhi Leonard stay in Los Angeles? Type your Y for yes or type your N for no. Look, for me personally, I'd like to see him leave. I like the drama of it, and I think it'd be a little bit more interesting if he wasn't there with Paul George. But I just don't know if that's going to be the case. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, or if you're watching live with us right now in the live chat. And now this obviously stems from Paul George, because George got traded to the Clippers. That's when Kawhi committed. And now he has signed a 4-year deal to stay with the Los Angeles Clippers. And you can see the details on this deal right here, where he's, increasingly making more money. He can become a free agent again in 2024. But at the end of the day, Paul George signing long-term bodes well for the Clippers' chances of maintaining, or retaining, I should say, Kawhi Leonard. But I don't know if it was the smartest move by the Clippers in terms of where they put their assets. What do you guys think? Was signing PG-13 to an extension a smart move by the Clippers, or was it a dumb move by the Clippers? It was smart for Paul George, I think. But I lean a little bit more to the dumb side for the Clippers. I don't know if I would have committed that much money to a guy that I don't know if he's going to show up in the playoffs. He hasn't done it yet. Why would he do it in the next couple of years just because you gave him the money? Now, the Warriors have made some moves, so we're going to talk about all the latest news, and that's Jeremy Lin is returning to the NBA with the team that he started his NBA career on, the Golden State Warriors. He's finalizing a deal. It's going to be probably an Exhibit 10 deal with the Golden State Warriors, and that means he's probably going to end up in the G League with the Santa Cruz Warriors for a while until he works his way back into the NBA. Jeremy Lin has made it known that his goal was to get back into the NBA after spending last season with the Beijing Ducks in China, and he honestly put up great numbers in his time there. Over 20 points per game, 5 boards, 5 assists. Didn't shoot it all that well, but in a league where he has to shoot most of the time, I think the efficiency and the percentages can be a little bit overblown. And now remember, this is just an Exhibit 10 deal. And you're like, Jimmy, what does an Exhibit 10 deal mean? It means basically, if he gets cut from the roster, he goes to the G League team and he'll make a little extra money than he would if he just signed a G League deal. So he's going to work his way back. So you guys can grade the signing for the Warriors. A, B, C, D, or F. I mean, Exhibit 10, you get a chance to prove yourself and he gets a chance to really work his way into a rotation. It's kind of an A, right? I mean, you can't give it an F because you're not giving any real money to him. You can't really give it anything less than an A at this point because, hey, it's a why not kind of deal. And if you want more Warriors coverage, you saw that link right below me, youtube.com/WarriorsTV. Make sure you subscribe. But I wanted to break down his last 4 years in the NBA, as you can see. Look, 2015-16, he kind of falls off a little bit, 9.6 points per game. And then next year, all of a sudden, you see that one game played. It's because he tore his patellar tendon in his opening game with the Brooklyn Nets. But But he had a great game, 18 points and 4 assists in that one game. Next year, he works his way back, plays a few games, puts up pretty solid numbers at 14.5 points per game. And then the next year, he splits time with Toronto. He goes to Toronto in the back half and just didn't play that much. I mean, you see the 11 points per game, but that was really in the first half of his season. And then when he went to Toronto, he kind of faded off. And then after that, he's been in China ever since. Now, for the Warriors, let's say this works out, and let's say Jeremy Lin becomes somewhat of what he was before the injury, then they get a solid backup, and they don't have a lot of those right now. Brad Wanamaker is your primary backup. He didn't look great in the preseason. Nico Mannion is on a two-way contract. You're not going to ask him to play a lot of point guard minutes. Jordan Poole is a really, really good guard, but not a point guard. And then Damian Lee, same situation as Jordan Poole, a great shooter, but you're never going to really ask him to handle the ball. So Jeremy Lin going to the Warriors is, I think, two-sided, really, really good. Number one, it could end up being a great deal for Jeremy Lin to get to prove himself. And number two, I think he could work his way into the Warriors rotation if he proves that he's healthy in the G League. So as we go into next season, as the Warriors get set to tip off the regular season, with only two true backup point guards on the roster in Nico Mannion and Brad Wanamaker, who should be the primary backup next season? Type BW for Wanamaker, NM for the second-round pick, Nico Mannion. Or, if you're a big-time believer in Jeremy Lin, type JL in the comments section. A last little bit of Warriors news for you here. I just kind of wanted to play into this because it actually goes along perfectly with the Jeremy Lin signing. They ended up waiving 3 guys today. Caleb Weston, rookie at Ohio State, that is not going to make the final roster, but he'll probably spend time in the G League. Axel Toupane is a guy who's kind of on the older side. I think he'll go back to overseas and play there. And then Dwayne Sutton, he had like a really nice dunk in preseason, but didn't do a whole lot outside of that. 24 years old, probably a G League candidate as well. So, bit of news there for your Golden State Warriors. Thanks for watching today's video.